Sometimes it's tricky to put things into the right proportion. Well, I can help.
Welcome back to our drawing series. This video breaks down one of the oldest methods that help you copy proportions of real-life objects correctly onto your picture plane. It is known as side sizing or simply sighting. The method is illustrated in many YouTube videos but is not broken down in easy to follow steps. Also, the original classical method is a bit rigid and can be limiting, so we'll do things in a more flexible way here. The first video in this series dealt with reading proportions on two-dimensional images, but here we learn to see proportions on real still life objects. Also, the last video we explained how to draw freehand straight lines, and this will come in very handy in this type of exercise. If you haven't watched those videos, make sure to check them out. Now let's get started.
If you like today's method, please take the time to subscribe and hit the notifications bell to know about my new videos. Tools and technique. You can sight proportions using your pencil, a pen, or a wooden skewer. Hold the skewer at full arm's length while closing one eye and leaning your head closer to your shoulder. Stand at a distance that is at least 3 times the height of the object you're drawing plus your arm's length. Make sure your eye, the tip of your pencil, and the object you're drawing are all at the same line of sight. Sighting general proportions. Point the tip of the pencil or skewer at one end of the object and your thumb at the other end. Here we are measuring the width of the bottle, then using this width as a measuring unit for everything else. When we turn the measured width vertically, we create a square. Always start measuring from the vertical center of the object. Let's find out how many of those squares fit into the height of the bottle. The height of the bottle is 4 times its width, or the width is a quarter of the height. Now let's compare the width of the bottle to the orange. They're about the same width and almost the same height. The orange is slightly bigger. Breaking down complex objects into their basic geometric forms. Remember, the bottle is made of several geometric forms. The body is a cylinder, connected to a hemisphere, interconnected with a concave cone, connected to the neck, which is a cylinder with a ring closer to the top. Those are all symmetric forms, so make sure to draw the axis of symmetry down the middle. Measuring each geometric form. Now let's read the proportions of those forms. We already know that the width of the base is a quarter of the full height of the bottle. Locate the base of the hemisphere. It seems to be at half of the second square from the top. Always draw the vertical and horizontal symmetry lines. Let's measure the width of the neck. It seems to be equal to 1/3 the width of the bottle. The concave cone is curved inwards by a couple of circles. The base of the cylinder is circular, but from this view it appears as an ellipse. Note that the minor axis of the ellipse aligns with the symmetry axis of the bottle. The major axis of the ellipse is slightly above the baseline of the bottle. Transforming proportion readings into drawing. Time to put that into drawing. With the previous proportion readings in mind, start by drawing the main axis of symmetry. Divide the axis into 4 equal quarters by splitting it in half first, then splitting each half into 2 quarters. Use your pencil to measure the length of each segment and make sure it is equal to the other segment. Draw the baseline and apply the proportion measured. In this case, it is equal to a quarter of the height. Make sure the baseline is split fairly in half by the axis of symmetry. Draw the vertical lines of the rectangle enclosing the bottle. Draw the baseline for the hemisphere at the horizontal half of the second square as measured before. Split the width of the bottle into thirds to draw the neck width. Draw the circles that co-join the body with the neck through the concave cone. Draw the major axis of the base ellipse after you define the height of the minor axis first.
Finally, draw the ring around the neck. Next, we draw the orange, which was roughly equal to 1/4 of the bottle's height. Locate the vertical diameter of the orange by drawing diagonals inside the square. And finally, draw the circular outline of the orange slightly peeking out of the square borders. You will end up with a drawing very similar to the original objects. Now, this exercise is not to be used as a permanent crutch. You can use this method when you're still new to drawing from real life, but as your eyes get trained to measure proportions better, you will not need it as much. Still, it can come in very handy when a proportion becomes problematic to measure. If you like my videos, please subscribe and turn on the notifications bell. See you in the next video.